I want the sun.
Operation Night 2D.
Copy that.
Only your future is brighter than us. Shop Godox SA for your production equipment.
How's it guys, Carl here, and welcome to this shorter videos. I'm going to start doing some shorter video clips on with getting to grips on like pre-recorded sort of sessions. Reason for this is hopefully I can answer some of the questions that gets put through to me on the actual direct messages and everything else. So today's one I'm going to be concentrating. I've had people ask me, how can I get, if I've got a white wall, how can I utilize, or without getting another backdrop, how can I actually get the change in the sort of the darkness and the lightness of the actual background? So what I'm going to do is just today I'm going to be concentrating just with one light, and I've got Dolly here as the actual model, and that's what we're actually going to be doing. I am in studio alone, so I will be going backwards and forwards to the switcher just to switch cameras and all that type of stuff. But what I'm going to be doing is white background. Like many people ask, I've got a white wall at home and I want to be able to shoot black, dark gray, light gray. How can they actually do it? Now, obviously, there's a lot of videos online that actually have this already, but I thought, you know what, I'm getting people asking me, so I am going to do it. So I've got Dolly. Let me just get onto the other camera here. Okay, so I've actually got Dolly. She is now right on top of the background. She's quite close to the background, meaning if I put a light over here and actually point it at Dolly, it's going to light up Dolly and it's going to light the background. So the background will be very well lit. Dolly will be well lit. So therefore you would actually have quite a flat looking light. I'm just going to bring it back a little bit more. Okay, so what I'm going to do is, I'm not going to try and discuss it too much. I'm just going to get the light in and we will shoot it. Okay, so what I'm using is I've got an 8400 light that's on the stand. And this has got the QRP 90T. I've taken quite a liking to this softbox. So I'm just going to put it here in front, put it up in the air, and I'm going to take a shot. So what I'm going to do is I'm shooting wirelessly at the moment from my camera to Lightroom. So what I'm going to do is just get that up on the screen quickly. All right. Right, so the first shot I'm going to take is obviously my black canvas, which is what I like to call it, or some people call it no flash, no picture, pure black. We should get an absolute black picture. There you go. Now, normally this black canvas shot, or no flash, no picture, is ideally, say, two stops underexposed, 2.5 stops underexposed. Generally, that's a good place to be. I mean, I've got a lot of video lights that are actually sitting at the top here, but generally, if I'm looking at that, that's what I'm looking at. Now, my camera settings should be on the screen there. So I've got 100 ISO. I'm shooting 1/60th, which is the sync speed of the 60. And then I've got at f8. So that is the camera settings that I'm shooting with. Then I'm looking at, if I look at this one, I'm just going to move it back a little bit. Right. So I'm going to look at putting this light at let's say 1/8. I'm going to start at 1/8 because the light is quite far back from the model. Okay. So taking this light's going to hit Dolly, it's going to hit the background, and both should be pretty well exposed with that type of setting. I'm just waiting for that to come up. And let me have a look. So there you go. So it's pretty much sort of a very flat light. The background is there. I mean, you could pump it up a little bit more even on the power, depending on how far your light is away. It's going to be obviously the power that you're going to put through. Now this will be very overexposed, but that's a quarter power. So if you had your light further back and you were shooting on half power, then pretty much everything will be lit up, the background, the model, everything, just with that one light. So then let's have a look at this one. So this was the one at quarter power, and you can see very bright, very flat light. So how do we actually make this background go grey? Well, as I said, there is a couple of ways. So what we can do is move Dolly away from the background. Okay. I'm just going to keep the light so the same distance, but what I'm going to do is actually make sure I don't have it at quarter power still. So I'm going to put this at, she's come away, say once so long. I'm going to try it at f8, at 1/8. So 1/8 power. I was expecting to be pretty much the same as what we had where we had the thing. So let's move Dolly further away. Okay. I'm going to just bring this light at the 45 degrees. Let's see what happens to the background now. So you can start seeing there's a little bit more contrast coming in. The light is not so flat. So as we're moving the light around, you'll see that you'll start getting a little bit more shape, a little bit more contrast, which is good. I enjoy the shadows and the contrast on the actual images and stuff. So with that one, we've still got the background, which is still fairly light gray. Now I'm going to turn it this way. So we're not so much pointing to the background, but there will be light that's going to get there because this background can actually still see the actual light of that softbox. So we should start seeing the white background starting to go a bit darker and a lot more contrast on Dolly. So let's have a look. All right. Okay. So now, as I said, where I was actually standing over here, you can see this part of the wall is actually gray. This part of the wall is actually dark. So this is where light is not getting to. The light is actually being able to get to there. So you can now start seeing, you can now start putting some cool gradients in place. What if we did that? So we're actually putting the light just slightly behind the model and actually just sort of getting the light across her. We should now start seeing the background with quite a softer gradient instead of this harder gradient that we had from there. So there you can see. So we're getting a lot more contrast. We're getting a lot more sort of fun actually in there. But how can we actually get it really, really dark? We've got a nice big softbox. Now most people will have, I think, a 50, 60, 70, 90 centimeter softbox is generally on their lighting. So to actually narrow this down even more, we can actually move the softbox maybe a little bit more this way. Let's take a shot and so while that one is loading up, I'm gonna get one of my favorite accessories in studio, which is a grid. Okay, so grids are very useful. They actually come in sort of some softboxes have these things within the actual sort of pack of the actual softbox. Other ones you have to buy separately. So this one is a separate one on this softbox. So I'm just going to quickly put this on. And so what the grid does, if a lot of you have watched a lot of the shows already, it's just going to actually direct light away from where you don't want light to fall. So that's what a grid actually does. So same principle, if I come behind here, directly behind the model or behind Dolly, I cannot see any white of this softbox whatsoever now with the grid on. Where before I could see a bit of light and a bit of light was actually touching the background and knowing that light would actually hit there. Even though the fall off hitting the model, there will be light falling off, but there will be light actually hitting the background. Right now, from this section here, no light's going to be touching. Over here, I can't see any light. Here, I can see a little bit of light. So it depends on how much in your frame you're actually shooting with the model. So if I stand here where the model is, I can see white. How much? I will not know. So let's take a shot. What I'm also going to do is I'm going to push up the light to quarter power because often you lose around about a stopper light when you actually put a grid on. So I'm going to take the shot here. I might even ask Dolly to come forward a little bit. But let's see what that does. So I haven't changed any camera settings. No camera settings. I haven't changed the background. So we are just now working with Dolly as is with what we've actually got. So you can see there the background is pretty dark. I don't think it's black. I can't really see with the smaller picture here, but it's not light at all. So if we actually bring Dolly here and the light further away, okay. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a bounce board here. So I'm going to get one of my poly boards and I'm going to block Dolly with a poly board. There you go. Okay, so I'm going to switch back to the other camera so you can actually see. So what we've actually got here is, let me just go around the back. So what we've actually got here is we've got our model in place. We've got the light that is not allowing the background to get any light whatsoever. We actually have a bounce bounce poly board, so this is just on the white side. So what you also got to remember is if this light does come out, hit there, it can bounce and affect your background. So you just got to make sure that you sort of even position this into a way that you'll get some bounce back into your model. You'll get there, but there won't be as much light being bounced off of this. With the amount of light that by the time it hits there, and see what actually happens. Let's get that back up. So that was our last shot without the board, so very much falling in. Polly's actually, or Dolly is falling very much into the shadows. So let's take a shot here. And let's see what we get with this one. So this is light coming past, hitting the board, also bouncing back in. So we'll expect to see some fill coming in on the actual. There you go. So you got your darker background. You got your bounce board bringing in some light there just to lighten up the shadows, so that's acting like a fill light. And we actually have the grid shooting on a white background. So just by positioning your model away from the background and positioning your light in a way where you can control it, start using things like grids. Just with one white wall, you can actually get so many different looks. You can place the light in there. You can even now put another light in with maybe a gel in behind it. Now that you've actually got this sort of nice dark look, add some color into the background and really start to experiment, get creative with these type of setups. And as I said, shooting on a white wall should not phase you if you actually have an understand, without getting too scientific like inverse square laws and stuff, if you actually understand how to position and work with your lights and be able to control that light, you'll be able to shoot without an issue. I think I've shot in houses where they've got stuff going on in the background. We didn't have a background up, and because we controlled the light to get the shot, that background just went black, and therefore you could not see anything in the back, and we got some very cool shots. Model close to the background, single light, head on, give you very flat type light, but the model and the background will be lit. Bring your model a little bit further away with the light in front. It will hit the model, there will be fall off, you will start seeing your whiter background go light gray. If you move it back even further and take the shot, you'll see the background will get darker and darker. As the model comes further away from the background, the light fall off actually happens and the background will go darker gray. But if you want to now add in contrast and start getting a white wall black, and you don't have the space, so the model needs to be 6 meters away from a wall, then start using grids, positioning your light. Start using a bounce card or a V-flat or a polyboard just to bounce in the light actually from here, and start working about with that. It's a lot of fun and you can actually get very creative. So I hope this has actually helped. If you have any questions, you can either drop comments in this video or you can send me a direct message on any of my social media. And all my lighting and stuff comes from Godox SA. The background papers are actually from Golden Power batteries, which they have a full range of colors there. And you can see there's pink, green, flame, red, all sorts of stuff that they have on there on the background paper rolls. I actually quite like them because they're quite nice and thick compared to other ones that I've actually used. So there is quite a bonus. And the poly board or the V flat, obviously it's not an original V flat, it's just a poly board on a stand. These things you can pick up at any hardware store, and then just paint the one side black, leave the other one white, and that is it. And then that's it. one light setup. I am using an 8400. You can do this with an 8300. You can even do this with a speed light. Okay, it's not about the actual power or anything else on the light. It's all about positioning and controlling your lights and having that understanding on how is the light coming out of the softbox. And that is it. Thanks again for watching, guys. I hope this was useful, and we'll see you again soon. Cheers for now.
Only need one scene, only need one scene, only need one.
Have you seen our creative bulb?
Get added to my cart. You've got the camera. We've got everything else. Shop Godox SA for your production equipment.